Gentlemen, welcome to Pillar 2, Module 7. We are talking about finding mentors. And of course, I have with me Luke Krogh, and it's exciting for me to have Luke. Luke is one of my mentors. But what we're going to talk about here is we're going to talk about scouting talent and finding mentors through scouting talent. So you guys know I'm a big sports fan. I love NBA, I love NFL. Each one of these teams has a front office, and they look for first round draft picks. They're always scouting talent. They're always looking for new talent to add to the team. This is the way you need to be looking for it. You need to be looking for the underrated talent. You need to be looking for the talent that you can get a hold of and the talent you can't. So we're going to be talking about two types of talent. First, they're going to be the guys that you can get into your life. These are the 5 guys that you can go to dinner with on a regular basis, that you can bring some kind of value to so that they want to hang out with you. And then the second type of talent we're going to talk about are the people you can't bring into your life. There are certain people, like for instance, Steve Jobs has passed away. You can still read his biography. There's been several books written about him and Benjamin Franklin and several other people that you might deem to be high talent people, high successful people. So what we're going to talk about are ways to identify those. And then thirdly, and this is the most important thing, and this is the thing that kind of stops a lot of people. We talk about speed of implementation, suspension of disbelief. When you see that talent, you can't say he's successful, but, or she's successful, but. You have to take the but out of it. When people have something that you don't have, like they're super, like for instance, I just finished Matthew McConaughey's book. Matthew McConaughey's super good looking guy. He had a bunch of success early in his career. He got every single role he wanted, but there's so much that you can learn from him. He's successful, but you got to throw that out of your head. You can still learn from people who are successful, even if they have something that you don't have. So Luke, can you talk to me about what you look for when you're looking for a mentor, any kind of mentor, and the different types of mentors that you'd be looking for?
First thing that I look at when I'm looking at a mentor or looking for a mentor is I look at what my goals are in my vision board, right? Because look, let's be honest here. I'm not looking for random mentors. I'm not looking for random just because they're like successful, right? I'm looking for mentors that will match up to what my actual goals are, right? So as an example, when I was first moving to Vegas, the mentors that I was after, I was literally, I want to unpack this a little bit further, right? I want to go a layer above this. So many guys look at networking as going to a networking meeting and they put that sticker, my name is, and then you fill in the blank with your name. And it's actually the worst place to find someone to network with because you're meeting a bunch of other people that also have nothing to offer each other. And everyone then is networking with each other with essentially a group of people that have never.
Water seeks its own level. Status seeks its own level. They actually put you in those situations specifically to make it harder for you to network with higher status people. So you can identify who the not higher status people are. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it's literally like a dance floor in a nightclub. Right? It's like the whole idea of a dance floor at a nightclub is to, in fact, add more value to the higher status areas. There is, when you start to realize, I mean, when you're first getting into, when you're first like going to Vegas or you turn 21 and you're like, let's say you're trying to go out here and meet girls, right? Well, you think to yourself, all right, well, I got to learn a skill like dancing, right? You take some salsa dancing classes, or you just kind of think that you need to learn how to like move better. And then when you start to realize is that it's all shtick. It's the music, the music is louder on the dance floor, right? Than it is at the tables. I mean, a lot of people don't realize. I mean, we were talking, I don't want to say his full name, but Eric, we were talking about him just the other day for a different reason. And his job, the last 2 or 3 years of his job at Excess, was he had an iPad and he would go around and adjust the music and the lighting levels in the nightclub. And it was really interesting to see just how much difference that he would adjust it for the bottle service tables versus the dance floor versus the DJ booth. And it's not an accident that people pay, they get guys to pay $5, $10, $20, $30, $50,000 for a table. It's all calculated. I like how you said the back office concept, because or front office, I guess you would call it for sports, because a lot of people think that a lot of people don't realize how many staff are on a typical NFL or NBA team. They don't realize the calculations. They don't realize the 9 to 5 jobs, right? Which are, really like 7 to 6 jobs that are involved. I mean, there's probably even more than I realized, Mike. There's probably the amount of like marketing people, interns, finance people, the amount of just random people that are involved in making that work. And I mean, everyone just sees like the staff and maybe the coaching staff, or sorry, the players and the coaching staff. But what they don't realize is just this machine that's behind. It's like F1 racing in a lot of ways, right? I've been recently big into Formula One racing, and it's just like the massive. I mean, you're talking a Formula One team is like $500 or $600 million to have a Formula One team. It's just, and like the amount of there's a lot of seediness with some of the sponsors and stuff. It's very interesting to get into, but I'll digress on that a little bit before I get too much in the weeds on that one. When you're looking at mentors, you have to think like, look, have they reached in any category of their life something that you're trying to reach? Map it like that game. What is it? Connect the dots, I guess, when you're a kid and you're drawing and you're literally making a drawing by connecting the dots, and all of a sudden that's the only way I could draw as a kid, right? I had to connect the dots and I made like a bunny or made some fucking picture, right? I just remember connecting the dots. I was like, look, everything in life, there's a linear path to connecting these dots to get what you want. People make it so complicated. Just because a mentor of yours or somebody that you could see as being a potential mentor isn't living life the exact way that you want to live life, you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. That's the biggest thing I see people making. It's not meeting mentors. It's throwing the baby out with the bathwater. It's thinking that mentor, because his life is not, because he's married and you don't want to be married, or because he's single and you're in a relationship, that he can't possibly know. He couldn't. And it really comes back to, honestly, I think, Mike, thinking that we're special snowflakes. I think it comes down to thinking, well, he doesn't know my situation. He could possibly know what I'm going through, so therefore he can't be a mentor. When in all reality, I mean, you probably have some like scientific stuff to say and to corroborate what I'm saying here, but it's like, it's really more a matter of like, look, anyone who's further off. I mean, you mentioned Justin before we hopped on this call, because I think Justin's been, I mean, you know this, Justin's been a big mentor in my life in a lot of ways, right? And I like to actually look at mentors that are at least 10 years older than me, but have achieved something I'm trying to achieve, whether it's with his family life, whether it's with his dating life, whether it's with his finances, because you can kind of see the trajectory that they're headed. If you always, so many times guys are trying to network with people that are a year ahead of them, 2 years ahead of them. But you could use, let's just take it from a business perspective, right? You could usurp these people. You're gonna have to scroll pretty far back because it's a lot of political posts at the moment. Here's kind of like an example, right? Like, I think he got his law. Go up to he deleted a lot of his political posts. Go up to that right there. See how he's signing a piece of paper? Can you read that caption for everyone? Look, first of all, like, look what he's doing, right? This is a lawyer, to be honest, right? He's a lawyer, and in all reality, he has his law degree, but it's not like he's out here, trying cases. Instead, what is his real job? His real job is making deals, and I think he got his law degree at like 38 years old. He was like a Xerox copy salesman, basically, up until like 35, 36, right? And now all of a sudden he's this lawyer, right? Well, he only went to law school to be able to sell legal services. Now that takes some patience and some foresight, right? Mike, what is the caption here?
Repost in 2019, headaches. This building renovation is complete. Building is occupied, but there was maintenance issues this morning. I was talking with a colleague and she said, I bet you sometimes ask yourself, why did I buy this building? I said, never. Some headaches are a sign you made the right decision. Yeah. What was that? Like the best thing I ever heard was, in a video game, you're going the right direction when you see more enemies, right? It's the same thing here. You know you're going in the right direction when they start hating on you, and you're going in the right direction when the thing that makes you money is causing problems, because that if it was easy, then everybody would be doing it.
Yeah, and like what I like about this is, look, you're never going to retire by just saving your money, right? As an example, you're never going to be happy with a female relationship by investing in one woman. And it might sound a little bit harsh, right? But it doesn't mean you can't just be with one woman, right? Like, he's happily married. But what I say by investing in one woman, what that means is you have to either invest in yourself if you're going to be in a committed relationship, or you have to invest in multiple dates with multiple women. I don't want to go off on this whole tangent there, but it's similar to take Justin, for example. I never remotely thought I would ever get into real estate. I never remotely thought that I would be involved in any of the businesses that Justin is involved in. But it's the way that the same way that he puts an attention to detail to his style, whether he's at a nightclub, whether he's at a day party, whether he is getting coffee in the morning. His outfits change and are always on point to the thing that he's doing. And he's always probably 10% overdressed, right? It's not always like, look, I mean, I have more expensive watches than Justin has. It's not like he is, in fact, he would probably kind of make fun of me for, the cost of some of my watches, right? But it's just, he has these analogies, and there's always like a parable, I guess would be a good way of looking at it, like a parable or a metaphor of what he's doing. And the reason why the reason why I've really invested in Justin being a mentor of mine is because like I know that he's on his own path and track, and there's nothing that anyone in his life is going to steer him from. So you use these mentors to be like rocks, right? Where you bounce between these rocks, so that so that even if your life is on a course that maybe you aren't thrilled with, or you're not exactly 100% happy with, I always have Justin to be this rock to butt up against, or I have Michael on this other end to be this rock that I butt up against. That's what I love so much about your program, Michael, Men of Action, is that the mentorship and the networking that these people are going to get from you, from myself, with each other is truly the best thing I've ever seen in any program. And I've been a part of quite a few online programs, right? And that really is the whole tenet of this whole thing. If you ask me, is the idea that it's the cheapest and easiest and best way to get these mentors and mentorships. I mean, to meet Justin, to meet some of the guys that I think Justin's probably the main one I'll name on this, but I have hundreds of mentors, and they don't all necessarily know it, right? You got to understand, it's not like I paid Justin to be my mentor, but you know what I did pay? Random flights to Dallas, Texas, without even necessarily knowing that he was going to be able to meet. I mean, I would have like a Southwest alert back in like 2015, maybe 2006, maybe 2014 actually, and I would have an alert that's like, hey, if the Southwest ticket drops below a certain level, go out. And I remember I paid for one ticket to Southwest or on Southwest to Dallas, and I just messaged him, hey Justin, I happen to be in town. I just flew there to see if he would meet with me. It was kind of a risk because who knows if he was even in town. This was right after we met, and he's like, Vegas Luke, and he goes, Ninja fam, what's up, Vegas Luke, my ninja? And I go, hey, what's up, bro? And he's like, hey, I'm doing what did he say? He's doing I think it was like a Halloween contest, right? He was doing like a Halloween costume contest for his business. And he had just upgraded offices, but I think he only had like 30 or 40 lawyers working for him at the time. And he's like, you want to be a guest judge? I'm like, sure. He's like, where are you at? I'll scoop you up. I didn't even have a hotel at the time. I was just like sitting there working on my laptop, waiting for hoping that he would say yes and respond. And then that one, I mean, we hung out for like 5 days, 6 days, like right on the spot. And then I would just get these random emails from his assistant saying, hey, I'm going to go to Miami. Check your email. There's an inbox, or there's a flight waiting for you. And I was just like, see a flight. Just come on up. I almost did a company with Jean-Paul DeJorio, the billionaire who sold Patron recently. He sold Patron, and he owns Paul Mitchell hair product because Justin knows him very, very well. I mean, he's like a legitimate liquid billionaire, right? And we almost did a business together. I'm not going to get into what the business was, but we almost did a business together. But what was that? What was the result of that? The massive amounts of meetings and parties in Miami and Texas that I was able to network and learn from all of these people.
So that's a great point. So the main thing that I want you to take watching this that's practical from all the great stuff that Luke said is the compartmentalization. This is the part that confuses people. Okay. I have met people, like, for instance, you'll meet a guy who is incredibly successful, but he's not in the best shape, or a guy who has terrible relationships with women, but he's an unbelievable CEO, or a guy who's incredible with women, but the guy, he goes out drinking and partying too much. You'll find that sometimes when you find mentors that you meet face to face, they won't be perfect in health, wealth, and relationships, but that's why we look for categories. I have a mentor when it comes to physical fitness. Now, there are other parts of his life I don't, consistently agree with that, some of the stuff that he does. But as far as physical fitness, because he and I are about the same frame, we're about the same age, he's one of the mentors that I look for. And then if I want further mentors with physical fitness, I can go look on YouTube. I can read books when it comes to that, all kinds of stuff like that. So as far as finding mentors, the first thing I would recommend is if you can find one in real life, an IRL mentor, a person that you want to learn from, you need to humble yourself. So it is humbling yourself to do the things that they say, to having enough humility to do exactly what they say for like 10,000 hours, like what Malcolm Gladwell talks about, another one of my mentors, and then learning that way. All right. That's the most important thing. Now, let me give you some examples about how you would meet someone like that. I'll give you an extreme example. An extreme example would be like Eric Spoelstra. He's the head coach of the Miami Heat. He was a video assistant for the Miami Heat 20 years ago. He was working there for less than nothing. But why was he doing that? Because he wanted more than anything to be around NBA players, NBA coaches, so that he could become an NBA coach, right? So he was willing to he was willing to work for next to nothing for years to get the information from the mentors, namely Pat Riley, to eventually become a head coach in the NBA. And he's been a head coach for a long time, and he's got 3 NBA championships because of it. So that's what's really important to understand when it comes to mentors. You're going to offer value.
And if I can cut you off there for a second, think about, like, look, if we say like worked for next to nothing, right? And a lot of times I'll explain to people how, like, you know, for me, yes, I'd agree with a lot of times you have to say, you know, you have to work for next to nothing. But I would even go so far as to say, spend the money. Like, when people start, I have this guy that I'm working with who his boss is a client of mine, and we took him from $3,500 a month in February in March to now he just crossed $55,000 a month, and I think he'll hit $85,000 a month in December, right? And one of his staff that he brought on, he started making like $6,000-7,000 a month, basically from zero in the past couple months, being a salesperson, right? He's like doing 9 hours of sales calls a day, 6 days a week. He's going pretty hard with it, right? And he's kind of asking, hey, what do I spend this money on? Like, should I get a better apartment, and should I buy this, and should I buy that? And I told him, I was like, look, like, is your apartment fine? I mean, you got to this level with that apartment. Should you go upgrade your apartment? No, not at all. Like, what's the point of upgrading your apartment? And then I said, what you should do though is do some content trips, or blow all that money, a little bit of that Grant Cardone cash is trash kind of thing, like saving money as in his position of like being a salesperson, when he can go spend that money to go get access to these mentors. A lot of times guys think that the mentors are just going to kind of like come across their path. You have to make your own luck. It's, you know, I don't know if I ever told you this story, but Kelly Felix, he's a big internet marketer who worked with Mike Long. And Kelly Felix he has like one of the records, or almost has a record for the most IMDb listings of like Seventh Heaven type shows. Like, he had these like several episode appearances on these shows. And one of the you know, he used to I've known him for quite a while back in the day. And one of the things he would say is he moved to LA kind of to be an actor. And I think this would resonate with you, Michael. Very quickly he realized that everyone's kind of type, like, they're looking for a specific person for a specific role. They're not looking for the best actor. And I think that was the thing that like hit me kind of hard, is I was like, damn, like, so what's the point of like being a Stella Adler, whatever like coming from some school, unless you're gonna be like a theater actor? Like, movies and TV, they look at you in half a second. Are you the person they've already predetermined should be in this role? So you only learn that. So literally what he did, Mike, is he started working for a casting agent, and then he started like aggressively working for this casting agent, and he would just get these roles left and right because he realized what roles that they were looking for someone like him in. And instead of trying to be a better actor, he got mentored from a top-down approach, and he literally would just basically get handed roles. They weren't massive roles. They were like 3 episodes on Seventh Heaven. They were like, you know, 9 episodes on FBI, CSI, Philadelphia, or whatever the fuck, right? Like, they weren't like perfect. I don't even know if that's an actual CSI, but you know what I mean? Like, he would basically be getting these roles, and his auditions, he had like a 98% success rate on his auditions because he would only go in for the roles that he knew they were looking for. So he became a fairly high paid actor in that regard until he made a bunch of money in internet marketing. It was just very fascinating, where a lot of people think that man, my first, maybe second book I'm going to write is called Talent is Overrated. And it's literally this idea that it doesn't matter how you could be the world's most talented actor and get 0 roles, right? It's like this mentorship we're talking about. If you're watching this, I want you to truly understand what Mike's talking about here. This is the only way to have success. There is no way to reinvent the wheel and learn how to be good with women without seeing what successful guys with women are doing. Although you're just lying to yourself. There is no way to go into a gym and pretend you know what you're doing with weights and then just do a good job, right? You have got to follow the success leaves clues. You have got to follow somebody who's already having that success, right?
So here's the thing I want you guys to write down. Number one, I want you to humble yourself enough to find someone who knows how to do something better than you, and then do exactly what step 2 is do exactly what they say for 10,000 occurrences or 10,000 hours. Don't add your own twist to it. This is a big problem that I see a lot of people in the finance community, for instance. I'll see they'll always add their little twist to it, or they're really bad at following directions, or I'll give them some instruction and they'll do 15% of what I say, or even 85% of what I say, but the other 15%, they sort of make it up on their own. It's humility in you to be able to learn from these mentors. But let's go back to the ways to meet the mentors. So we talked about the extreme example would be like taking an internship at a law clinic, or like the example with Eric Spolstra, being a video assistant for 10 years, coming up through the ranks and eventually becoming the head coach. These are all different ways that you can provide value, but there's smaller ways to provide value. For instance, I create huge networking events. A lot of the events I throw, they allow these incredible mentors that come into my life. I have several mentors who are very popular actors in Hollywood. They come to my events, and when I need stuff like, hey brother, I need an entertainment lawyer, I need help with this or that, or can you introduce me to this person? These men, it not only is it finding mentors, but it's also part of networking, like we talked about in Pillar One. Finding these mentors is like alpha level, highest level networking. So you're going to find these people, you're going to let them know, hey, I'm willing to offer you value if you will just teach me this whole thing. When I find someone who wants to learn something from me, my first thought is, how serious are you? How serious are you about this? The guys who've joined Men of Action, the reason why I'm so forthcoming with them is because they're showing me they're more serious. For years, I'm not kidding, for 15 years, I have been receiving messages on social media. Can you teach me this? Can you teach me this? Can you teach me this? And I've never taken them seriously. Or if I gave them instruction or like some project to do and then come back to me, they never follow through. With the Men of Action program, they do follow through. So when you're looking for a mentor, if you can show that you are completely serious in learning the thing that they're willing to teach, then they're more willing to teach you. That's why this is so important, okay? That you find this mentor. So you're going to offer value to somebody that you find, right? You're going to be like, hey man, it could be something as small as, hey, let me buy you a drink, or something as big as, hey, let me help you network with this person, and this person that can help you solve this problem. That's how you meet in real life people. I also, like I said before, I love throwing huge events. Beauty pageants, one of the crazy thing about beauty pageants is all the guys I want to network, you know what I do? I make them all judges. My bikini competitions, all the people I want to network with, I make them all judges. Whenever I have a huge charity event, all the people I want to network with, I always invite them to those events, and I'll introduce those people I want to network with to each other, i.e. value arbitrage from Pillar One. Okay, so that's how we're going to meet our mentors. That's how we're going to meet. We're going to offer value. We're going to create awesome networking situations in order to meet our networks in real life. Now, what about the ones we can't meet? The ones maybe they passed away. They're incredible minds. That's why we talk about before, every minute that you are eating in your car or in the gym, you need to be listening to an audiobook, a podcast, or a YouTube video that is somehow helping your life. One more time. Every minute. Sorry, guys, no more Ariana Grande. Sorry, guys, no more going to the gym and listening to Guns N' Roses, okay? The music is great. Music is not getting you to your goal, all right? Unless you really need, you get a personal best and you really want to listen to some dubstep before you bench press 340. Other than that, you really got to focus on doing this part. Your mentors, when you want to find these mentors, what you're going to do is you're going to listen to audiobooks, podcasts, and YouTube videos every minute that you're in the gym. Every minute that you're eating and every minute that you're in the car, you need to be listening to those things in order to listen to what those mentors have to teach you. Autobiographies, stories about people doing great feats, great things. These are mentors that you can't meet, mentors that you probably won't be around. So every minute that you are driving in your car, eating food, or in the gym, you should be listening to an audiobook, a podcast, or a YouTube video that is getting you further, getting you closer to your goals. Now, let's talk about the mentors you're looking for. So what you need to do is look at the different points in your life. So for instance, if you need a mentor for physical fitness, you have the option of going through several YouTube videos or meeting several personal trainers, and you need to find the one that's right for you. But when you find him, once again, you need to meet him, and then you need to humble yourself to do exactly what he says, and don't switch it around. If you want one for finance, again, the same thing. You need to look for somebody who financially is where you want to be, and then you need to listen to what they say, and then you need to, one more time, I'm going to use this word again. You need to humble yourself to do exactly what they tell you for 10,000 occurrences, like Malcolm Gladwell talks about in The Tipping Point. I would also find a reading list of books that successful people read. Okay, there's some truth in this idea that CEOs of Fortune 500 companies read one book a week. I try to read one book a week. Okay. In order to do that, how would you be able to pull that off? Michael, I'm so busy. I'm running my e-com business and I'm doing this and that. How am I able to read one book a week? One more time. I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to keep saying it. Every minute that you are in the car, you are eating food, or you are in the gym, you need to be listening to an audiobook, a podcast, or a YouTube video that is getting you closer to your goals, and you need to speed it up. We're going to talk about that later in a later module, but train yourself to listen to these things faster. So this is how you get in real life mentors and not in real life mentors, virtual mentors. Both of those things are important. This is the most important part. This is the part that Luke and I have really wanted to lay down on you guys. And this is really important, guys. It can't be he's successful, but. Stay away from he's successful, but. When you meet a mentor who grew up rich, you can't hold that against him. You need to figure out which part of his life he got right and learn from those things. I had one mentor that I used to work with. This guy was, he worked in nightlife here in Las Vegas. And I saw all these things he was doing right and all these things that he was doing wrong. I inculcated all the things he was doing right, and I skipped all the things he was doing wrong. And I zoomed past him. And it was not a really good experience when that happened, but that's what you'll find also. You'll be able to see, hey man, what if I'm able to do these successful things and then these self-destructive things he does? I'll just skip those. This is an incredibly powerful thing that you have looking from the outside in. When you find these mentors, you find the things that they do well. Be honest with yourself about those things. But when you look at the mentor, you don't have to look at the person as a whole. There's a bunch of, for instance, if I wanted to learn about a military tactician, I could look at Napoleon. But there's a bunch of shit Napoleon did that was really stupid and really, really bad. So I'm not always going to look at Napoleon as an example of a great, Rommel as a military commander, or Robert E. Lee. Again, these are flawed individuals that had a very, very unique skill that they were exceptionally good at. These are people that you can look at, but again, you need to take the skill and the category and you need to separate that from the overall person. And when the person has an advantage, good looks, status, money, whatever it is, whatever networking advantage, they were born into a rich family. There's several actors. Ryan Gosling, I think both of his parents were like famous before he got into acting or whatever, right? Or Joe Buck, whose father was Jack Buck, who became a famous baseball announcer. Like sometimes nepotism happens. That doesn't mean you can't learn from those people. You can learn from them. You need to never say he or she is successful, but. Luke, what do you think about that? What do you think about finding those individual categories where people are successful, and whenever they're successful in those categories, you can never say he's successful, but.
You've got to pick what your goals are. Why do you want this mentor in the first place? Because it's going to be a solid mentor is going to be a lot of work to actually keep that mentor. I'm working on getting some mentors right now that I've worked on for minimum 12 months, 18 months, right? And these mentors I'm going to be achieving mentorship status with. I'm not, they don't know it. This is not an official mentorship with this person. The more successful, the higher status mentors you're going to get, there's going to be lots of buts. Relish in it. Own the fact that you only want, look, if someone is, we take Adam Weitzman as an example, right? Adam Weitzman, very successful guy. He lives several hours north of me in upstate, he lives in upstate New York. I think he just moved to the city. And this is a guy who could be a mentor to lots of men on this call, or, lots of men rather who are watching this video. And you would look at him and think, oh, he's got kids. So lots of guys would say, oh, but I don't want kids. Okay. You could look at this guy and say, he owns a business that's very different. It's a recycling plant type business, right? I didn't even necessarily know there were private recycling plants. I didn't even know that was really a business to get into before I met him. You could also say that he lives in upstate New York. I mean, literally in kind of bumfuck middle of nowhere, right? And if you think about it, like, okay, let's look at every single one of these things, right? He's got kids. So a lot of people would look at him like, oh, he's successful, but he's got kids. Okay, well, how about the fact you always want to change these buts into situations where it's like, well, this person is successful in spite of, not necessarily even because of, right? So when you look at the fact that he's got kids, he's successful and still maintains a relationship with his kids. So he must have great time management. A recycling plant, that's this opposite from like a scammy, like FBA, e-commy kind of like, I'm not even saying that those things are scammy, but it's the opposite of like some internet cash grab kind of business. It's a recycling plant with trucks and assets, right? So you look at a recycling plant, it's like, oh, think about this, right? Let's say you do have an internet business. Let's say you do have a personal brand. Let's say you have any other, let's say you have businesses like Michael, right? Well, you could probably learn a thing or two about somebody who's had to achieve millions of dollars of equipment and trucks and staffing and how to manage these staff, right? And then on top of that, a lot of guys think that, because a lot of guys think that you got to be in like the LA, the New York, the Miamis, when they don't realize that, like you have a buddy who owns a very, very expensive house in LA and he lives in Vegas, right? The amount of people that live in Vegas, that live in, that don't live in Miami, but live in Tampa. One of the wealthiest guys I know, who is he's about to be a client of mine. He was introduced to me by another client of mine. He lives in Toronto, but his business is in Tampa and his house is in West Palm Beach. What? Like for most guys, they would think that that's kind of unheard of or that's strange. But what they don't realize is, take Adam Weitzman. He just got one of the sickest penthouses ever in one of the best buildings that's ever been created in New York City, looking out over Central Park. So a lot of these like butts are people just think about this. If you think, this person is successful, but Michael's successful, but he lived, or even because of, right? Because he lives in Vegas, because he's surrounded by these girls. Well, maybe Michael's successful because he did these different things, right? Not despite these things, right? These guys have to, if you're watching this, you have to start realizing life is too short to judge potential amazing mentors that you could be having. If you want to have, you got to understand, when Mike does a bikini competition, in large part, you care more about the judges than you do the contestants. The contestants are there as a medium, as a modality, a vehicle to network with a lot of times the guys who are judges. I'm starting to think of some events, Mike, that I've seen you host with like 50 judges, like 45 judges, right? I remember the one in Miami, the one in Mexico that we did, the most recent Mexico one. I think it might have had like 60 signed up or something.
There were 60 judges, yeah.
60 judges. Well, like
plastic surgeons, attorneys. There was one guy who used to work in the CIA. Yeah, it was incredible networking.
Exactly. Now, like, if you think about that for a second, like, why would you ever have 60 judges? Because you care more about the net. I don't even know if there were 60 contestants. I think there was a little more than 60. I think there was
74 contestants. Yeah.
So there were 74 girls and 60 judges. Like, honestly, what if, that'd be, you almost have to start questioning things if it was 74 judges. That'd be pretty funny if it was like every contestant came with a judge. But yeah, guys, I want you to think about this. Is like, start thinking outside the box in what mentors are going to get you to your goals. Here's a good point with this. Stop thinking about which mentors have done the exact thing that you do, because now they're probably onto something else anyway, right? I remember when I first met Chris Record. It was in Scottsdale. And I remember I wanted to do something that he was doing with some Shopify stuff. And by the time I actually met him, he was Shopify's biggest affiliate, right? He was making lots of money with Shopify. I met him in Scottsdale. He was literally like, I think it was the day before I met him, he just sold his stake in his business. And he was trying to do YouTube stuff. And so he wanted to actually look up to me for some content stuff that we were doing. And I was like, damn, this is so funny how like grass is always greener. You got to start looking for mentors that are further down the path of one vertical that you're actually trying to achieve in your own life.
Yeah, that's the point, guys. You need to be able to categorize. When you can't categorize and he's successful, but you're a fucking YouTube troll. You know those annoying YouTube trolls that sit there in their mom's basement with like crumbs all over their fat belly and haven't seen their penis in a month? Those fucking guys, that's who you become when you start hating on successful people and you say he's successful, but you need to think, am I doing that? I'm a fucking YouTube troll. I need to stop doing that. So let's talk about the homework assignment for this. Here's what I want you to do. It's not a specific book, but I'll give you some specifics if you want. I want you guys to find a biography or autobiography of someone that you look up to, someone that you might possibly be able to learn from. So I would recommend Walter Isaacson. He is an author who has written several biographies, including, I believe, Benjamin Franklin and Alexander Hamilton. He did one he did a really good one for Warren Buffett. So Warren Buffett, his book, The Snowflake, which is his biography, I would recommend that. Or maybe Elon Musk's book, or one that's really great. I know Luke would love also is Jerry Weintraub's You'll Know I'm Dead When I Stop Talking.
You'll Know I'm Dead When I Stop Talking. I love that fucking book.
Yeah. So books like that. Again, I loved Alexander Hamilton's biography. I thought it was great.
Sam Walton.
Like,
Sam Walton's one is amazing too.
Sam Walton's book is great. So what I want you guys to do, and if you need some ideas for books, also I would also recommend. There's some Joe Rogan podcasts that come out with somebody that you may look up to. I would listen to that 3 hours of long form content of Q&A with that person. So for instance, I love Neil deGrasse Tyson. I'm a big fan of Matthew McConaughey since I'm a Longhorn. I'm a big fan of Dave Chappelle. I'm a big fan of some of these people. So I'm going to watch like another one, like a guy who I grew up listening to for a long time was Willie D. And he just did a podcast with Joe Rogan. And I listened to that. Be able to squeeze the value out of those things from these people that can be your mentors. When I say mentor, you can learn anything from these people in one or maybe two categories of their life. Be willing to do that. So your homework assignment for this module is to find a biography or autobiography of someone that you look up to and listen or read that. When you find it and you start reading it, I need you to post the name of the book and the person in the Facebook group for Men of Action. I need you to post that so that other people can see the great biography that you're reading. Always post it in that group so that we can all share in the success that you have. And again, if you find an in real life mentor, share that with us also in the Facebook group. We're looking forward to seeing it. This is the end of this module. We got another one coming for you really soon. And again, congratulations, guys. You have made it this far. The journey is just beginning. Luke and I wish we could trade places with you right now. I wish I could forget some of these lessons so that I could relearn them again. I'm excited for your journey, and we'll see you here in just 1 second.